Good afternoon and welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. On today's show, the NBA world wants to know, how bad is Nikola Jokic's injury? Meanwhile, which teams have the most at stake in 2026? And we wish happy birthday to LeBron James.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. However you're tuning in on YouTube or on your podcast app, thanks so much for making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. I'm Wes Goldberg, and today we're talking about Nikola Jokic's injury, all-star first returns, and which players have the most at stake in 2026. And we're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts, and I have two of the best with me as always. From the Locked On Nuggets podcast, he's a senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
It's the end of the year. It's a time when people start to take stock of their lives. I would just advise you to leave your livestock alone.
From the Locked On Bulls podcast, he's also a Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report. It's Haize.
Taking stock and reviewing 2025, I realized I wasn't as petty as I needed to be in 2025. Yeah. I need to be back to 2024 pettiness, so look out for that in 2026.
It's a great resolution. Up the petty scale in 2026. We do have to start with the big news from last night. Nikola Jokic went down with a left knee injury in the second quarter of the Nuggets' loss to the Heat last night. A weird play where Spencer Jones steps on his left foot. Jokic is trying to make a move. He ends up hyperextending that left knee. He goes down in a heap, limps to the locker room, does not return to the game. And then it's announced right before we started recording here that he's going to be reevaluated in 4 weeks for a left knee hyperextension. Here's more from Locked On Nuggets.
I think the biggest thing is they just have to find a way in the meantime to reestablish another identity. And it's not a positive spin. I don't really do positive spins on stuff like this just because I think it's more important to be honest with the people, just for people to be able to kind of understand what the thing is and be able to move on with the right information. I do think there is something to finding an identity in the next couple of weeks without Jokic, and if it is a week, 2 weeks, a couple months, you're going to be forced to do so. And I think Jamal, who had 20 and 11 today, by the way, had 11 assists in this game. So, this is going to be an opportunity for everybody else to be able to step up and David Adamman to be able to step up, for them to really be able to fortify what this team looks like without Nikola Jokic. And, really the biggest thing is, man, I just want him to be able to get back 100% the same way that I want Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, and Cameron Johnson to come back 100%. I don't want anybody rush back. There's no need.
So, Matt, obviously, you're all over this story as one of the co-hosts for Locked On Nuggets. This is considered good news, right? Considering how this looked at the time, words like ACL and all that kind of stuff is out there. 4 weeks is probably on the better side of the news scale, though. But do you agree with your Locked On Nuggets co-hosts? And how can the Nuggets survive without Jokic for what looks like at least a month here?
I'm torn because it's look, logically they can't. They can't. He's too important to everything. He's their entire team. And what I mean by that is not that the other guys wind up not getting enough credit for what they do sometimes, but they're designed to be a Jokic team. Everything is designed around Jokic. Offense, defense, scheme, personnel, everything is designed around Nikola. So being without him is going to be devastating. I have him worth 7.9 points to the spread. That's insane. Think about that. They will go from a 4-point favorite on neutral court to a 3-point dog, 4-point dog. That's what it flips from. And I think they will find a way to win some of these games because this is the NBA. And that's what happens. The Wizards, the Nets, and the Jazz are having pretty good weeks. You will see that happen. They will find wins, but it's going to be a terrible, awful, no good month. And it's going to make everyone on the Nuggets feel really bad about themselves for letting Nikola Jokic down while he's out.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. No doubt about it. They're going to probably lose more games than they win. But I will say this, Jamal Murray's having one of his best seasons as far as assisting. And so maybe that helps them a little bit as well. We know that Aaron Gordon's important, especially when Jokic is out. I'm not expecting them to completely fall off a ledge here. The goal should be for them to stay as close to 500 as possible over this time that Jokic is out. We know how dangerous they've been. It doesn't change my opinion on them being contenders out of the West. It just doesn't. And then keep in mind, at some period, important time in this, It's gonna die off a little bit anyway in the season. So I think they'll be okay. Long term, they'll be all right. They'll find a way to weather the storm as best they can. But we've seen what the Nuggets look like in the Jokic's off minutes. We're just gonna see a lot more of that here coming up.
Haize, you kind of already answered my follow-up question, though. Like, based on what we've seen from the Denver Nuggets so far this season, do we still think that they are contenders with Jokic if Jokic comes back 100%? Because the other thing that's happening here is it's not just Jokic, obviously. Christian Brown is out. Aaron Gordon is out. Cam Johnson is out. Haize, this feels a little bit like a cursed season for the Denver Nuggets. But, if they can get everybody back, you're obviously still buying them as contenders.
I am. If they're back healthy by the playoffs, like imagine this. Imagine being a 1 or 2 seed and having to face off against the Denver Nuggets in the first round of the playoffs. Like, I'm not saying that it automatically means that the Denver Nuggets are going to walk away with it, but I'm saying that's a hell of a test. If they're fully healthy in the playoffs, I still trust the Nuggets. They're well coached, well executed team. The balance is there, and Jokic can still be the best player on the court in any playoff series.
So I don't think part of this is that the randomness of like they'll win a few games, and then you've also got the their March schedule when he comes back is so soft. They face pretty good opponents, but not elite ones. They face OKC a couple times, but they're all at home. Like Denver has this extremely home heavy, rest advantage heavy scheduled after All-Star. So they're going to surge after All-Star. Here's how I think this dynamic plays out. What I do think this means is Denver winds up in the 4-5 matchup, which is massive because that means they got to go through OKC in the second round. It means also that Houston and San Antonio wind up in the 2-3. That's massive because San Antonio has played great versus the Thunder and they've played great versus the Nuggets. They do not match up as well with Houston. Like the big winner out of this is Houston because this means that Houston can likely avoid the 4-5, get into the 2-3, and have a very good shot at the Western Conference Finals, potentially while putting Denver and OKC in a second round series. That would be a war.
So you're looking at the standings here, Matt, and to your point, Denver right now is 3 games up of the 7th place Phoenix Suns. That is not a lot of ground. That's not as much of a cushion as you'd want with Jokic out for 4 weeks, at least for 4 weeks, right? It could be longer. We don't know. They're a game up on Houston and the Lakers at the 4-5 spot. They're 2.5 games up on Minnesota, who's right now in that 6th spot. So it seems unlikely that Denver would slide all the way into the play-in tournament, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, and that would obviously do a number to their title chances here, Haize.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, and maybe this is just me overconfidence. Like, yeah, it would definitely hurt if they slid into the play-in tournament, but like facing off against the Denver Nuggets in the play-in, one game, like I get it, anybody can win any one game, but like I don't know, I'm just not too worried about it. I'm not worried about it.
The problem is the cumulative effect here. It's not. I am confident it can happen. It can happen. I am confident they will not be in the play-in tournament. Like I am just confident in that, given how good they are, and like if you look at the schedule and where they're at with this, it's like they're on this East Coast road trip. Toronto, probably a loss. Cavs is going to be interesting. Like the Cavs need to win that game or it's going to be bad. Mm-hmm. Sixers, okay, probably a loss, I guess. Boston's a loss. Atlanta, they're not great. Atlanta, Milwaukee, not great. Pelicans, not great. Dallas, not great. Washington, not great. Charlotte, not great. The Lakers, okay, that's probably a loss at the Lakers. Then the Washington Wizards again. Like, what I'm trying to say is there's enough of these games and there's enough random games that they won't, like, they're not going to, they would have to go like 0-17 with Joker out. The other thing I would tell you is I know that they gave 4 weeks. This son of a gun is one of the most durable and toughest guys I have ever covered. That I think we'll ever see. I'm not going to be shocked if it's like 3 weeks and he's like, I feel good. I can play. And the medical staff is like, please, no, please. They're going to fire me. Please. And he's like, no, I'm good. I will play. I will play tonight. And then he's going to drop a 30-point triple-double in his comeback.
Matt, last thing here, and we want to do it quickly before we get out of the segment, but your co-host there on Locked On Nuggets talked about a different identity for this stretch with Jokic out. It's a Jamal Murray-led team right now. He's having a great season. What does a Jamal Murray-led team look like when Jokic is injured?
A prayer circle. I mean, Jamal's been great, but the drop off is too significant. And Jamal's best value is how much he adapted his game to play with Nikola, and that's gone. Jamal's gonna be great, but Jamal can't lift up the team the way Joker does.
There's a lot at stake for Jamal Murray and the Denver Nuggets over these next few weeks. There's a lot at stake for a lot of players across the NBA in 2026. We'll talk about that next. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. During basketball season, there's nothing like being in the building, the energy, the crowd, the first big run that gets everybody on their feet. Fans want to be there for those moments, not stuck refreshing screens or guessing what tickets are really going to cost. That's where Game Time comes in. The Game Time app gives fans the advantage back, making it incredibly easy to score amazing tickets. It's fast, simple, and without the guesswork. Browsing the Game Time app is straightforward and intuitive. Finding tickets just takes a few taps. Seeing the view from your seat before making your purchase makes choosing tickets easy and confident. Prices include fees up front, so the total is clear from the start. And with features like zone deals, they help unlock great seats at even better value. Whether it's an NBA game or another live event, everything is right there in one place on Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA, that's LOCKEDON NBA, for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today and get in on the action. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. The best way to support the show is to subscribe on YouTube. We air Monday to Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcasts. We're a couple of days away from the start of 2026, so it begs the question, which players have the most at stake in the new year? Haize, when you think about those players with the most at stake in 2026, who comes to mind?
Trae Young is a big one. It's a big one for Trae Young. I think, this experiment of seeing how he fits with this new youth movement in Atlanta, so far the return on that does not look very promising at all. So the Atlanta Hawks have to make a decision on his future, but also him opting into the contract is a big thing. I think it's going to be a big 2026 for Trae Young, and we may get a decision on that very early on into 2026.
I kind of think Jalen Brunson. So I think he's obviously a fourth quarter wizard, and he's got 2 Eastern Conference Finals appearances to his name. But this is the best chance the Knicks are going to have to win a title for a while. They've built what they think is a title team, and they've foregone other pathways to clear room for this Brunson iteration. And they've got to be able to deliver. The Celtics are not the Celtics this year, and they might get Tatum back, and even then they won't be the Celtics because Drew Holiday and Kristaps are gone. The Cavs are a mess. The Pistons are inexperienced. Like, this needs to be – the Knicks need a pretty comfortable finals appearance. What happens when you get to the finals is anyone's guess, but they need to be able to not just win games. He's going to have to win games by more than just like trying to grift his way in the fourth quarter. He's going to have to find more sustainable ways, I think, for offense in playoff environments, which is very difficult. But to me, this is like Brunson has, I always prefer, instead of pressure, opportunity. And I think Brunson has such an opportunity here to show what level of player he is, but he's got to capitalize on it this year with the opening the East provides.
Haize, I think Jalen Brunson's a really interesting answer, and I don't disagree. But I'm thinking here, if the Knicks were to lose sooner than Knicks fans hope that they'll lose, would they blame Brunson as long as he's not like putting up a LeBron versus JJ Barea type of stat line? Or would they blame Karl Anthony Towns in that situation?
They're gonna blame Cat. Cat is always the one to blame for everything. Like I know my best friend's a Knicks fan, and he worships the ground Brunson works on. Not to say that represents all Knicks fans, but I think overwhelmingly they'll blame Cat more than anybody else.
Who else has a ton of at stake here in 2026? Is there, Matt, something here for Jokic, who still just has the one championship, right? I mean, not to belittle it, it's still a championship. Nobody can ever take it away from him. But he's getting on the other side of 30 now. He's coming off that injury. The Thunder are here. The Spurs are coming. The Rockets are coming. Is there a lot at stake for Jokic here in 2026?
I think there's a lot at stake for Jokic fans. I think is a better way to do it.
Well said.
You know, I think most people that watch basketball are like, this is one of the 10 best players I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're just like, yeah, but you got to win the rings, then okay. All right. And if you want to leave him out, you can leave him out. He may be a guy who winds up being like 15th on some people's list because, like, well, he only won one championship. I just don't think that there's anything left for that guy to prove. And I don't think that guy feels like he needs to prove anything. So for me, like, I don't think that there's like a lot to prove there. Who does have a lot to prove though, Wes, is Noah LaRoche. Noah LaRoche needs to prove some things here in the second half of the year because
His offense could be viable for more than 20 games.
Well, yeah, we're looking at two pretty horrendous fall offs here year after year.
There's a lot at stake for the Heat, right? The way you frame it is interesting, and it's probably right.
Oh.
They have played better. They scored 147 points last night.
This should have been the first name out of my mouth. I'm sorry. If we're doing this exercise, it's Kevin Durant. It's Kevin Durant.
Why?
He's going to be like, whatever, I won a championship. None of y'all know I know ball, right? And that's fine. But if we're talking about like from a career perspective, if he does not win a title outside of Golden State and he has flameouts in Brooklyn, Phoenix, and Houston with Kyrie Irving and James Harden, Chris Paul and Devin Booker, Alperen Şengün, and I guess Reed Shepherd, then like there's just going to be these conversations. Like it is going to be inescapable to be like, Steph won those titles. Like Kevin Durant, from a legacy standpoint, has the most to gain by winning a title this year. He needs to have an incredible 2026.
I can feel where you're coming from there. I want to throw out another one. If the Minnesota Timberwolves continue to kind of be in, out, 1 foot out, 1 foot in, go into the Western Conference Finals, do conversations start happening around Anthony Edwards? I get it. He's great. But like, does a weak finish to 2025-26 season for the Minnesota Timberwolves, does some of those conversations start happening with Anthony Edwards already?
No, because I think it's like they'll view him like KG, right? It's just KG redux. Like it's just KG over again, where it's like he's got to go somewhere where he can win. And Ant will not wait as long as KG did. Like the Timberwolves had better have a good 2026 because otherwise things get really dicey. But yeah, I think it's really fascinating how many I think teams have a lot of pressure versus like I do like look at the opportunity here. Cade Cunningham sneaky has like a lot of opportunity here, where it's like we could be at the end of 2026. We could be talking about Cade as like, hey, is Cade a top 5 guy? Like we could be having that conversation this time next year.
This has kind of got me thinking: who would benefit the most from one more ring among the 5 players that I'm about to tell you?
Okay,
Kevin Durant, to your point, Matt. Giannis, Jokic, Jason Tatum, or LeBron.
So who would benefit the most from another ring?
One more ring. Add one more ring to one of those players' resumes. Who benefits the most from that added ring?
Giannis, because he's doing it in Milwaukee. And I think when you hear when all the conversations, you got to keep the same energy. As we've been talking about Milwaukee struggling, if Giannis wins another ring in Milwaukee, I think it does more for him.
Well, I mean, he didn't say he wanted it in Milwaukee, right? Like,
That's doesn't have to be in Milwaukee.
That's true.
Milwaukee.
And that is part of this. If he wins one with Golden State, I don't know what the reaction is. I will say Joker here, I think, has the most to gain from a stuff that he doesn't care about at all standpoint. Just because, like, a lot of us, including myself, put Hakeem in the top 8, top 6, top 5. Like, I think Hakeem's the best center of all time. I got Hakeem over Shaq, and he's got 2 titles, right? If Jokic has 2 titles, 3 MVPs, and the performances that he's had, then you start being like, hey, this guy is in that, like, you can't, then if he does win the title, you can't be like he's outside of the top 10. I just don't think you can put him outside the top 10 if he wins another title.
So another ring for LeBron really doesn't do much, right? Because it gives him 5. Jordan has 6. It's not changing. If you're a, hey, MJ was the greatest of all time person like Haize is, you're not changing your mind because LeBron is within 1 as opposed to within 2, I suppose.
Oh, it's just like, Jordan did it as a guy. Like Jordan's championship walk-off moment was what it was. LeBron's not going to have that. He's not the best player on this team. He's not the second best player on this team, right? Like, it's just entirely different. It's much more, this is like a Robert Parrish type of deal. And It helps, but I don't think it helps significantly.
Haize, last one here. How much is on Shai in terms of what's at stake here? Because he's a guy who is kind of like Jason Tatum right now, has lead guy on a top team, 1 championship ring. But if he goes back to back and then is 2-0 in NBA Finals and is the MVP for one of those years and maybe the MVP this year, especially with Jokic being hurt, it does change the MVP race a little bit right now. You go from that Tatum type of conversation to a different kind of conversation if that's what your resume is this early in your career for Shai.
Yeah, I mean, you do go into a different tier of the conversation. If he wins another finals and MVP, like he's already in rare territory. But I think Shai has so much time left that it doesn't necessarily have to be done right now. Like chances are he's gonna win another one, probably another couple of ones. But if he does it in back-to-back seasons, it does a little bit. But I think people look at Shai and realize there's a long runway there either way.
Wes Goldberg has been assessed a foul on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's 2 shots for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He's going to the line.
I was like, what was that sound at first? I didn't realize it was a whistle.
It was a tweet?
It was a tweet.
Because I can't do a whistle. So.
Because that's what that's the sound whistles make. LeBron James turns 41 today, but the All-Star first returns weren't very kind to him. We'll talk about that next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Fridays already feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night, before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited-time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new, boosts, bonuses, and surprises. It's easy to check the weekly special before tip-off and make a move before the window closes. The timing is perfect, right before the games, right before the weekend starts. It adds extra energy to Friday night basketball without overthinking it. So before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour. Every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, a little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thanks for making Locked On NBA Daily your first listen every day. The Locked On Podcast Network has a show for every team. So check out Locked On Nuggets for more on today's top story. Happy birthday to LeBron James, who turns 41 today. We'll have plenty of time to celebrate his career, so I don't really want to do that today. But I do think it's interesting that we got the first returns to All-Star voting yesterday, and LeBron James, who has made 21 straight All-Star appearances, was 9th in the Western Conference, behind Luka, Jokic, Steph, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Edwards, Denny Avdia getting more votes than LeBron on first returns, and Kevin Durant. Here's more from Locked On Lakers on what this means.
I do think there's an upside to the Lakers, and we can quit after this if he doesn't play. Remember, like Damian Lillard every year would get snubbed from the All-Star team and go average like 58 points a game in the second half of the season because he was so outraged that he didn't get named to the team. I actually think if you kind of take that shot at LeBron, like, you know what, old man, congratulations, you're 41. You're still putting on a pretty good show, but you're not one of the 15 best guys. I actually think that could be a really strong motivating factor for him in the second half of the season that could benefit the Lakers. So I say leave the old man at home. Let's see what happens.
Haize, do they have a point?
Yeah, they absolutely do have a point. But who cares? LeBron's not entitled to anything. Like I said, I was going to be more petty. We're starting off now. Nobody cares. Happy birthday, LeBron. Go away. Nobody gives a damn. There you go.
Matt?
I mean, I don't know that the point is really salient. Like, oh man, you better watch out. You snub LeBron, and he is not going to defend anybody twice as hard in the second half of the season. He is going to absolutely ball watch even more. He's also, I don't know why we're doing this. He's going to get in. He's going to get in. Adam Silver will put out a hit on one of these players to get LeBron James in. Do you know how much money that's worth to them in corporate sales for all of the events? Like none of this is real. The All-Star game is ridiculous. It is nonsensical, and it has become a joke of itself. And it didn't start out as all that serious anyway. So yeah, put the old man in, have him run around, have him wave to the crowd. As long as he doesn't go anywhere near all NBA, we're fine.
So we've seen this before, right? Whether it's the fan vote, but we've seen the NBA give honorary All-Stars to Dirk Nowitzki and Dwayne Wade. But that was a different stage of their careers where we kind of knew it was over. With LeBron, he has yet to announce his retirement. I don't know. It's a little strange, although, Matt, I agree with you. It's very strange to picture LeBron James not there.
Because, look, I think he plays another year, and I think he's probably in concert with the league and Nike on those plans. But if you don't, let's say they don't know. Let's say he could just walk away at the end of this year and be like, yeah, I'm done. Okay? If that's the case, do you want to risk not giving him an all-star appearance in his final season? No. You can't risk it. You cannot risk it. By the way, the best thing would be Kobe Bryant walked into one of the All-Star games and did like a media availability right before the game. It would actually be pretty incredible if LeBron did not appear for anything and only showed up for the game, came in and did the pregame press conference and announced that he was retiring, and they've got this 2-month window to celebrate him. It risks the injury, but that would be like an absolute, like, that's a great way for him to go about it, is if he was like, hey, I want to announce that this will be my final 2 months. Like, pack it all in to those final 2 months. But the Lakers would be like, we don't have enough home games. So
it would be in Los Angeles too, Haize.
I still don't give a damn. I don't care.
Don't care.
I don't care.
21 straight All-Star appearances, though. If it's not 22, that's still pretty incredible. That's something that Michael Jordan never did, Haize.
I mean, and this isn't a Michael Jordan versus LeBron thing. I want to be clear. I recognize LeBron as one of the greatest players of all time. This isn't a Michael Jordan versus LeBron thing. I just really, at this point in time, I don't give a damn. I just mean, Frank, I don't care.
What I will ask you this though, is like, I do think here's a good question, is like, what are the meaningful moments left of LeBron's career? And will you feel like, because, you know, Kobe's last All-Star game in Toronto was pretty meaningful for a lot of people.
It was. And it was probably one of the last competitive All-Star games. But unfortunately, I doubt that even if it is LeBron's last All-Star game, that he's going to push it to be any more competitive.
It would be really great, though, if he played and then Victor Wembanyama blocked like 4 of his shots. It'd be really fun.
That would be great. That would be awesome.
Could he make the All-Star game by promising to do the dunk contest?
20 years after the
20
fact.
years later, yes. Yeah, 20 years later. We got 41-year-old LeBron James in
I can
the dunk
feel
contest.
Him glaring at Wes right now. Like somewhere in the universe, LeBron just like
you're bringing this up again?
Towards another camera, like a non-existent camera, fourth wall, and it's just like
Jim Halpert in The Office.
Yeah,
style.
exactly.
That's crazy.
If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA Daily wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On NBA Daily.